How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about not one, but two different insurrections that just happened a little over 24 hours ago, which would be Thursday, March 30th, 2023. Now, the first insurrection was at the Kentucky state capitol in Frankfort, in which you had a bunch of adults out there protesting the quote-unquote anti-trans kids bill. Now, I'm not really sure why so many adults are invested into children becoming transgender, but different story, I digress. I'm not really sure who this guy is. Is this the QAnon shaman lookalike, but trans LGBT version? I don't know, but I'll move on. There was another insurrection at the Tennessee state capitol in Nashville over gun laws. Now, we all saw the unfortunate mass shooting that happened in Nashville. May the 3 adults and the 3 children rest in peace. But people were out there for that as well, really invading the Capitol, as you can see on the screen before you. So my question is, why aren't these stories getting that much media attention? Now, the media are covering it a little bit. They're kind of looking at it. They're not just totally ignoring it, but we all know, and we can say for 100% certain, it doesn't matter if you're left, right, politically agnostic, in the middle, libertarian, doesn't matter what you are. We can all see that January 6th is getting much more attention, much more. As a matter of fact, we know Trump just got indicted in New York. And if you go to the street and ask people if they agree with it, they'll say, yeah, because of January 6th, not knowing that he already got impeached and acquitted. But different story. I digress. The whole point is J6 is like this monumental event, but somehow these insurrections, these so-called protests don't get that same level of attention. And some are going to say, well, hey, ABL, it wasn't really an insurrection, all this and that and the third. But I'm reading articles, and I'll play some of those possibly on the screen, maybe in the description box, where they're talking about the so-called protesters are trying to gain control of the actual building. They bum rushed the place. They shouldn't have been there. The police were involved, but we're not calling it an insurrection. We're not calling it what it is. Or do these words like insurrection and it's a threat against it's a threat against democracy? All these things only get used when it's politically expedient to do so. But then when the powers that be say it's okay for you to rush the Capitol over gun laws to get guns off the street, to gun grab from Americans, I guess that's totally fine, right? I guess that part is totally fine. When you're talking about some LGBTQ elemental P type stuff, and you are so-called protesting for that, it's totally fine to have an insurrection. It's totally fine to be the exact version of the QAnon guy, the exact same thing, to have him out there acting the fool in the Capitol. That's totally fine. Not even a big deal at all. Nobody bats an eye at that. These two episodes, these two, I guess you would say insurrections, if we're going to call J6 an insurrection, you got to call these insurrections too. But here's a pretty important video. You see the caption, 7 fingers, 7 victims. Tennessee Capitol protesters appear to include trans shooter among the victims.
Every death is a tragedy, y'all. It's 7 lives.
So you see it right there. Every death is a tragedy, 7 lives. Now, we know for 100% fact that the shooter killed 3 adults and 3 children. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 plus 3 is not 7. The 7th person that died is the shooter herself. And yes, the shooter was a biological XX woman that identified as a man, but biological XX woman. I'm gonna say was word for the preferred pronouns. So they have sympathy for the actual shooter. They're including her among the victims. This is gross. And this is why, in my humble opinion, but this is why I think that these protests are linked. Although they happen in different places, Kentucky and Tennessee are not that far apart. They're border states. Well, Frankfort and Nashville not that far apart. They're border states anyway. So, and it was probably some of the same people that went to both. You know, maybe they drove down right afterward, or maybe they kind of split up and went different ways. Part of the same NGO type situation going on. I think this is most certainly orchestrated by the same people. Let's continue. Let's see. Footage of the insurrection shows progressive protesters battling with cops as they attempted to gain access to legislature in Nashville. See, that's exactly what happened in January 6th, ain't it? It's the same thing. So we can see what's going on, right? This was the person we saw earlier, a self-described gender queer clown, none. See what I'm saying? Just a bunch of ridiculous nonsense. Definitely insurrection. We see what's going on here. Nobody can say anything different. But as I close, I want to say this. Hopefully these things get as much attention as J6 does. And if it doesn't, which it probably won't, then we know what's really going on. Was J6 really that bad? Or is it simply a thing to try and attack conservatives with whenever we try to get things accomplished? But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here with the insurrections in Kentucky and Tennessee? Why won't they be described as being the same as January 6th by the mainstream media? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. These insurrections, protests, riots, whatever you want to call it, are seen as okay in the eyes of many on the left because they are protesting, rioting, insurrecting for causes that they agree with, things that they align with. That's the whole point. And we can see that clearly because of the lack of reaction or the soft reaction. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.